We're gonna bring it back to the right side of the table. And Isaac, we'll start with you. And this is our first topic of the evening, which is on the economy. Specifically, it has to do with taxes. So I'm sure, based on the Republican Party platform, that you guys are all Republicans. Many of you think lower taxes are better, maybe even vital for Arkansas to develop a competitive business environment. Tell us a little bit about your view of taxes and how it affects the private sector as well as the government.
Thanks, Paul. The number one thing that I've heard going door to door, I've knocked on over 5,000 doors since November, and without almost any exception, people have said what's important to them is don't raise my taxes. That's quite a calling for someone after talking to almost 5,000 people, for all those people to say one thing in particular. And I agree with the Republican Party platform that limited government, lower taxes is better, both for the business owner, for the working person, as well as the individual citizen. I believe that our income taxes in Arkansas put us at a competitive disadvantage when you compare it to states like Texas. And I think that Governor Hutchinson is recruiting business, but he may have a little bit of a disadvantage in recruiting when compared to the governor of Texas when he's recruiting a business and says, come to Arkansas. And their response is, well, why don't we go to Texas where there's less income tax and lower property tax? So I believe that we should go ahead and lower our taxes so that we can be competitive with other states.
Mr. Gaines.
Thank you. Now in District 89, just for frame of reference, it's just encompasses Springdale, nothing else. That being said, I don't know who in here lives in Springdale, but I am convinced the residents of Springdale are some of the most hardest working folks we have in all of Northwest Arkansas. That being said, to Isaac's point, lowering the income tax is something that I would be a strong proponent of. Folks who have money to spend will spend it. That's just a matter of the fact. And I think it's inappropriate for the government to raise any sort of income tax, particularly because our residents are some of the hardest working folks out there. I do believe property tax is something that we should look into. However, I would only be in favor of something that I know a little bit about in lieu of a broader scope of maybe political rhetoric of lowering every tax. I think that'd be inappropriate, but addressing the income tax specifically is something that is both feasible and, from what I've heard, District 89, the folks.
Janice Starr.
Well, I agree with what these gentlemen have said so far, but also I wanted to add, I'm a Ronald Reagan Republican. I was 16 years old when he was elected president, so I kind of cut my teeth on Ronald Reagan and his Reaganomics. I'm sure y'all remember that. So I stand with him on our lower taxes, keeping taxes low so that we can grow our economy. We are still in a recovery mode. We are not there yet. So to raise taxes at this time, like the proposed gas tax was earlier, would be horrible for our growth. So I was against that, and I'm so glad the governor has dropped that for now. But I believe that it will probably come up again. I will always be for lower taxes. I'm a hardworking American. I'm one of those Springdale residents you were talking about. And I'm tired of seeing all my taxes go out every month. It's just my income coming in my household, and it's tough when you're paying so much out in taxes. So I will always be for lower taxes and keeping growth in Arkansas for my grandchild, for her future as well.
Like the other candidates up here, I also am against raising taxes. My dad went back to school on the GI Bill and passed his CPA the first time out, went to work as an auditor for the federal government. And he would come home talking about how our tax dollars were wasted. And so I grew up knowing that, when the taxes come in, that we need to spend that money wisely. I think we need to make government more efficient. We need to make it more effective so that we can operate on a lower budget so that you can keep more of the money that you earn. When I was in the state legislature, there was a half-cent sales tax referred to the voters. A lot of my colleagues said, we're going to let the voters decide. I thought, you know what, as a legislator, I can stop it here, at least with my vote, will stop it. And, when Arkansas, the state tax is 6.5%, and I know we're talking about income tax too, but also our sales taxes, we need to think about that also. And as you know, a lot of local funding is raised through the sales taxes. And my thought was, if Rogers needs roads and we want to raise our sales tax 0.5% so we know where it's going, then we should be able to do that. But as across the state to raise it and then that money goes into general revenue, I think it's wrong. So I do think I'm probably out of time, but another thing that concerns me is the poverty level in our state. About 20% of our population live in poverty. Some are there because, quite frankly, they're okay with saying, you need to raise their taxes so I can make more money. But there are also those that would love to get out of poverty, don't know how to do that. So I would love, and I think we're going to talk about economic development later, but if we could get some of those people out of poverty so they're paying into the coffers, then we can lower taxes for everyone, which would be my goal instead of selecting certain groups to cut taxes on. Thank you.